what's up, guys? This is the second episode of the Nobcast.
Welcome back.
Yes, we hope you have enjoyed the previous one. In this one, we're going to be talking about mysterious cases that have never really been solved. Has your one been solved ever?
No.
Yeah, they've never been solved, so it's very much open to debate. And I guess we're just going to be talking about it and then giving our own opinion on it and how we think it ended.
Yeah.
So, who should start?
You can
Should I
start.
Okay, so my one is about the mysterious man from Taured. I don't know if I'm pronounced this right because it's a country that doesn't actually exist. So pretty much during the July of 1954, taking place at the Haneda airport in Tokyo, in Japan. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right again. A middle-aged Caucasian man, described as being neatly dressed, stepped foot into the airport with the hope of taking a flight that would take him to a country called Taured. What's the twist? Well, the country does not exist. But things do get more mysterious from that point on because, believe it or not, you could at this point have deemed him a lunatic, but he did actually have a passport that was of the country Taured, which is very mind-blowing because it's not easy to forge a passport, I assume. And why
You
would
assume.
I
I
assume
hate the fact you've never done it before there, Shadi.
because, well, the thing is, why would he go for all the effort and risk of forging a passport to a country that doesn't exist just to get kicked out of the airport?
Yeah.
So it's very strange. And then, it genuinely seemed as though the man had arrived at the scene with the intent of wanting to take a flight to Taured, just as any other person does. So being suspicious of the man, the staff had detained him and pretty much put him in a hotel. I don't think that's what they would do now. I mean, I assume they would actually put you in a real security place, but apparently that was in like 1954. So they booked him a place in the hotel for the night, and while he was there, they decided to investigate. And pretty much the next day, it got even weirder because the man disappeared from the hotel, even though there were guards outside of his room, and there was no other way he could have escaped. He just vanished. Would you like to ask any question at this point? Because it's very
Probably just
mind-blowing.
have the same questions as the rest of the people listening. Just like, how could that have happened if there was guards outside?
Yeah, and there was no balcony, so he couldn't have escaped otherwise. Before he disappeared, the staff were actually asking him questions. And what's strange is that he wasn't even hesitant to feed them all of the information they wanted. And he confidently stated that the country of Taured was an old nation located between France and Spain. And frustrated by the man's conviction while he spoke about something that could not possibly be true, the custom officers grew irritated, and so did the man. When he was asked to point out the rough location where this country was supposedly located, he pointed to Andorra. Have you ever heard of this country? Because it's I'm not actually sure if this is a country. It's a landlocked microstate apparently, and it's bordered by France and Spain, and that's apparently where Taured was located, though it doesn't exist. So after his disappearance, there were no details left of the man. It just everything that traced anything to him just disappeared. The room he'd booked, there was no anything in the records leading to that. There was no reservation made. The hotel staff did not recognize the man, and also all the personal documents that he'd provided during the investigation at the airport were gone. The passport, his driver's license, it was all gone. And it seemed that just as there was no trace of any country called Taured, there was now no longer trace of the man. He just vanished. What do you think this is? Because people say it's obviously the more rational conclusion is that this is just an urban legend, but there were theories that perhaps it was some kind of an alternate reality, and for some weird glitch, he was transported to this alternate reality for one day, and then he went back to his, apparently. And that's why in his reality, maybe there was a country called Taured, but in ours, there isn't. That's the kind of take on it. But obviously, more realistic people that have a more realistic view on the world believe that it's just an urban legend. Unfortunately, there is no answer that I
Yeah.
can provide, that would be bullshit if I said it's real, because we don't know.
Yeah.
But it's true that while there's no evidence to say that it did happen, there's also no evidence to say that it did not happen.
Yeah.
So it might have happened. No one knows.
Like, I believe that there is different universes.
Yeah, that's pretty much what this theory is about.
Like, I don't know about you, if you believe that.
I do.
I believe there can be different universes.
I do. I just don't. I obviously don't believe as much. I believe other things because
Yeah.
of it, like we have no evidence. So it's kind of a very like a great topic if you think about it, because.
But so is the whole of belief. To be honest,
it is true. I mean, you might even say that there's no much difference in believing in like God than that, because after all, there's no evidence that it exists, but there's also no evidence that it doesn't exist. So,
and when people talk about what they believe in, one thing that annoys me is when people tell them that they're wrong. Because who are you to say that?
Yeah, you would need evidence to prove that it's wrong.
Like someone's beliefs is something that's close to them.
Yeah.
Like, say you're confident in something, it'd be wrong for me to tell you that you shouldn't be.
Yeah, because, I mean...
Who am I to say that?
Yeah, that's true.
So, that's one thing I like about stuff like this, where people can have their own opinion. And there's another thing, opinion, there's no right or wrong with opinion.
Yeah, it's just, it's not a fact, and it's not supposed to be.
No.
I mean, see, the thing with alternate realities, it would be very... I would like to believe that it exists, but even if it does, like, it would be so hard to prove it on a scientific level. How would you?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a scientist, so that seems really mind-blowing to me, but I would assume even for, like, a scientist, like, we can measure the distance to different planets and we can explore the space, but knowing that there's a different reality is just a complete different ball game to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it would be very interesting if there was a different alternate reality.
If there was, there could have been one where they know that there's alternate realities, but unfortunately, that's not us.
Yeah. Why didn't they come to this reality?
Yeah.
Well, maybe this man did by accident. Yeah, so that's very, very interesting. I mean, I see the thing about those mysteries always kind of irritates me that there wasn't enough proof to prove that it happened. It's always like a very thing open to a debate. There's like never a conclusion, but I guess that's why they're like mysteries.
Yeah.
But do you get that feeling that like you really wish you want to know the truth? Like you just want some godly power to tell you whether it's true or not, because there's no way of knowing.
But like, there's one thing that speaks to me about this somewhat being true, and it's the passport. Because why would you go through all that effort to forge a passport?
That's if the event even took place, yeah. So for now, let's for now just assume that it did happen, just so we can talk about it. Yeah, I don't see the point, because obviously they would end up either kicking you out or detaining you, that like they did this man. Because obviously you cannot go to a place that doesn't exist, so what's the point of the whole thing?
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't be so surprised if they did this now because of the whole prankster like thing going on YouTube. But that was the 50s. Like
back in the day, that must have been like that would have been really expensive and time consuming to forge a passport for that. And
then you're literally showing it to someone.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, they're going to assume that you forged it because it's a place that doesn't exist. So you're almost just you're almost just willingly wanting to be arrested. So there's no way, like no point he would do that. And then obviously the details, the documents that he had stored the next day just disappeared with him.
Yeah.
Almost as if everything that was connected to him and himself just went back to the other alternate universe.
I mean, it explains the just disappearing in that. But then we also have to look at it from the point of it also might not have happened. It might just be the urban myth.
Yeah, it might be an urban myth.
But with stuff like that, I want to know what made someone come up with that? What made someone make that up?
Yeah, someone just really wants to piss people off.
Yeah.
Someone really wants to be an inconvenience to the whole fucking world.
Like, to piss people off.
And how did it spread? Like
make idiots like us make this.
Nobeds, But there must be like, What was it written in a book, or was it like vocally just told to people, and then no one's talking about that? It's just So how does a myth even, like a story, become an urban myth? Like, it's very strange because someone must have been there. If it's a real urban myth, just really spreading bullshit. Then other people believed it and they start spreading. And that person was just there, like, silently.
But it's also an oddly specific thing to come up with, because if this is made up, he came up with the disappearing thing, and also he invented a whole country and decided where it was.
Yeah.
So, like, that's from both ways of disproving this. It's a lot of effort.
It is, but
for
then
nothing.
Yeah, it is, but then it's so hard to talk about it because we don't know. Maybe someone just did it for nothing. I mean, you never know what people do for what reasons and how it even became an urban myth.
Or maybe it was just like intended to be a story, but someone that heard it didn't get that.
They thought maybe it was real.
Like the creepypasta stuff. You heard of them?
No,
it's basically like scary stories.
Wait, what's it called?
Creepypasta.
Alright, don't think I've heard of it.
You can get it up now if you want one of that.
Yeah, I'll put it on the screen.
Because people will have heard of them before. Because there's ones like Jeff the Killer.
Oh yeah, I actually recently looked at Jeff the Killer and I was wondering what even is Jeff the Killer. Is that an urban myth?
Well, it's a story that for some reason many people believe.
But they're like only shared around the internet kind of thing.
I mean, let's just go on a side tangent. Let's just get the story up there, eh?
Yeah, we might as well.
Yeah. I was going to go on a tangent there about the Alcatraz ghost stories. Because that's something I believe in, but I'll save that for later.
So they have different stories.
If you type up the Jeff the Killer one.
So that's where it originates from this website.
I don't know if it was from this website.
But then they create this website to have it here, right? Jeff the Killer story.
Oh, thank God it didn't come up. Oh, there's the photo that gave me nightmares as a child. That one.
Yeah, that one is terrifying.
I can never look at that.
Something very creepy about it. This is the one.
Let's see, this is how it gets people.
Yeah, creepy.
Because it says the true story.
And then someone thinks it's real.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake.
No, I'll allow you to read. You sound better at reading. Or you sound better while reading than I do.
Alright, guys. We're gonna go for a real story that you're getting for free, so you better appreciate this shit.
The real story.
Like the real story of Jeff the Killer.
Such tiny writing.
Yeah. Okay, many great stories about outlaw Jeff the Killer become distorted and transformed into a being that is nothing like the actual person in question. Jeff the Kid was nothing like the story suggests, but many believe it. One such story was about the modern psychopath, Jeff the Killer. His story on the web changed his actual involvement in the world and how he acts. People love, hate, and are generally scared of this psychopath from the story that brought him to the mainstream eye. Nobody knows, however, that this story is a lie. He's more than a depressed teenager who goes crazy for some reason. He's more than what the fans of him say. He's one of the greatest killers and nobody knows his true rise to this state except for an old friend of his.
See, there's that. I'd say that's a successful opening.
Yeah.
To get people to believe it.
Because you're almost like saying, oh, people say it's a lie, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's this trick that they always use to persuade. Like, people say it's a lie, but I'm going to prove it to you that it's not.
Yeah.
When Jeff moved into the big city with his family, he couldn't be more depressed. For years, he had to deal with being schizophrenic and having everyone in the old country tease him for his illness. His parents had to move to the city because his father got a job working for the NYPD and he needed to be stationed there. Jeff's mother reluctantly agreed, only because she knew a psychiatrist that could help Jeff with his illness. Jeff looked outside the window as they passed the town border and entered New York. Jeff has never seen such a sight before, the bustling streets and neon lights. Jeff made a hand gesture to get Samuel to come over and see. Jeff never had a friend or sibling before, so he made some of his own up. Well, that's like the story of every serial killer.
Yeah.
Jeff's parents are happy about Jeff. You sure? Using his imagination, but are also disturbed that he is 13 and still has imaginary friends. The apartment they moved into was on the Brooklyn side, which is the side that Jeff's father was stationed at. They all needed to unpack all of their gear, then go straight to bed, as the next day Jeff had to go to school and his dad was on the beat. Jeff's bed was a fresh, clean mattress, while his parents had to sleep on the couch bed until their room was fumigated, I think. Jeff was tossing and turning all night because he was experiencing a nightmare about the next day at school. The dream started off well as Jeff walked into the school with people smiling and welcoming him. His moment of joy was interrupted as a jock from the 11th grade came up to him and to pick on him for his schizophrenia. It's like everyone's evil in that story.
Hold on, skip down a bit. Because so far this isn't the story that I know.
I mean, this is like did you read the whole story or just the summary?
Like I've heard the whole story before and that's not what I remember. Yeah, the story that I heard about the actual thing was he was like depressed and that, and he got picked on a lot, which he eventually just snapped and started killing people.
Well, maybe isn't that where this goes? Maybe it was written differently, but I guess that's what they do with urban myths. Everyone writes them.
And then he ended up cutting off his eyelids, I think, and carving his mouth into a big smile, which if Shadi decides to get the photo up. Yeah,
I will. But maybe I should just skip a paragraph or two then, just to get to the main stuff. On his 25th birthday, Jeff fooled the guard to come close to him so he can grab the guard's chest to smash into the bars hard enough to crack a rib and puncture his heart. As the guard was howling in pain, Jeff grabbed the keys to unlock his cell. He dropped the keys next to the now blood-soaked uniform of the officer as he picked up the guard's nightstick. He started to walk to the exit of the prison when guards with pistols came around to the corner. They demanded that he put his hands up. Jeff did not comply, so they shot him in the legs. He was still standing after the shots were fired and started to chuckle. He looked up and said to them, "I will never be sad again. Instead, I am happy." He lunged at them, flailing the nightstick into their bodies as they kept firing shots. The bullets hit his limbs, but he kept going about his way. He shuffled to the front door of the prison until he turned around and started shuffling to Comswell's office. His shadow invaded the window on the door as 3 subtle knocks were heard. "Thanks for making me who I am." That's like a Joker origin story. Just he was sad, now he's happy because he's crazy. Okay, last paragraph. A man went to visit Comswell's office at the prison where the greatest breakout took place. He visited to pay his respects and to find some notes on a few patients that were transferred to him. This is where the notes were found on Jeffrey and his real story. Many of the man's patients have claimed to have seen a man that looked like Jeff, and they always say that he enjoyed pain in the same way that Jeff does. The man found one last note, but it wasn't written in Comswell's writing. It was barely legible. But what it said was, "I heard you the other night. They want me to go to sleep. You will never make me sleep. Everyone thinks I have no redeeming qualities, but I actually do. I am happy for the first time in my life. Actual happiness. You can't take that away. Not now. Everyone wants me to go to sleep. I will make them go to sleep."
Like, that's one of the only things that I've noticed is the same here, is thing about not sleeping. That's why he cuts his eyelids off.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
try going back into the Google page and see.
Want to see the full?
I mean, yeah, sure. Ugh. Where is it? There it is. I've seen that 20,000 times.
Why is it so scary? It's you know the other urban myth with the girl that has that smile and those like talons for legs. I forgot what her name was. Yeah, it has like the same quality about it. So like, it's disgusting. You don't want to see it. But I mean, it must just be a guy somehow.
Yeah.
Makeup or special effects, but it looks so disgusting.
Yeah.
To be honest, you can tell a little bit that it's blurred. You know, you have those blurring apps that you can...
I mean, this was from, like, years ago.
Yeah, so it makes sense. But
Wait, if we go back into the instead of story, try and put in the creepypasta instead of the word story. Like, in the type. There we go.
Is that the one you read?
Yes.
The origin?
Yeah, like all of this, I think. Yes, this is it. This is the one I heard.
Should I just read the top then?
Yeah, read the origin. This is the origin that I know.
Jeff was a 13-year-old who moved to a new neighborhood with his brother, Lou, and their parents. On their first day of school, they were accosted by 3 bullies named Randy, Keith, and Troy.
Fucking Keith.
Fucking, who's scared of Keith?
Exactly.
Whom Jeff brutally beat up after they threatened them with knives. Lou took the blame for it and was arrested, sending Jeff into a deep depression. The bullies later attacked Jeff again at a party, and Jeff killed one of them, but not before getting covered in bleach and lit on fire by Keith.
Yes, that's why his skin's so pale.
During this fight, Jeff's mind permanently snapped. So that's like a different even story. You can kind of... it's obviously just a myth. When Jeff woke up, he was at the hospital and his head was wrapped in bandages. When the bandages were taken off, it was revealed that his face had become disfigured and ghastly pale from the burns, with bright red lips and a leathery texture. Jeff said that he liked his face this way and laughed hysterically, but the doctor foolishly thought that his insanity was merely a side effect of the painkillers and let Jeff go home. Yeah, there's always just a stupid doctor in those things.
But to be fair, that does happen.
Yeah, I mean, things like this I would assume happen, yeah. Doctors aren't always the smartest.
It's not that, it's just if there's not an obvious answer, they don't always look for the answer.
Later that night, Jeff's mother found him carving his face into a permanent smile. That's like a Joker story. So that he would no longer have to exert energy to smile, as he put it, and burning off his eyelids so he could always see his face. Jeff's mother went to her husband to tell him that their son had gone completely mad and needed to be killed. Wow. But Jeff caught them and stabbed them to death. This woke up Lou, who was recently released, with Jeff telling him as he was about to plunge the knife into his body, "Go to sleep." Jeff then went on a serial killing rampage, killing those who refused to sleep at night. And as the story continued, Jeff renamed himself Jeff the Killer. So let me get this straight. He wants people to go to sleep.
Yes.
So he probably just wants to kill them or something.
Yeah. That's just his way of saying die.
Very insane.
Like, I know another one where it's like the smiling dog. Have you ever heard of that one?
No.
I'll read it. I'll say what I remember from it, but you can search it up if you want.
The smiling dog?
Yeah. Or smile dog, I think it is. Yeah, it's...
Well, those things really scare me for some reason.
Yeah. Like, it's this thing where a photo goes around. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, that's very long. You could give us a summary.
If you go down a bit. I want to see the first couple of paragraphs. Yes. It's like an image that gets sent around, but it's a photo of a dog.
That looks creepy.
That looks creepy because it's got a human smile.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you ignore it and you close your eyes, you see it.
Still.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
And that makes... Nah, but no, this one that makes you go insane a little bit.
According to the story, this image depicting Smile Dog is an image of a demon or evil spirit that then plagues and torments anyone who has looked upon it with horrendous visions and nightmares, impelling them to spread the word by sharing it with others. The longer you go without sharing it, the more extreme it gets.
So you have to spread it then?
Yes.
So it makes you one.
Yeah.
Where's the photo? Is that the one?
Yes.
Oh, fucking hell. Well, we are cursed now.
Like
I can see it.
That's what makes it believable to me. Like the spreading it around.
Yeah.
Or else. That's what interests me about these stories. Then there's the whole list of the ones like lost episodes of TV shows. like the SpongeBob one of Squidwards Suicide.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's a good thing.
I think I've heard of it. Is that like, it was that an actual episode?
No, but see, the whole idea of it being a lost episode makes it somewhat more believable. It's different words that they use, like in the stories, that gets people intrigued and makes it seem like a real thing.
That's what the internet is doing. People are like believing in those urban myths. But this does genuinely look scary. I'll put it up on the screen now, so you might be fucked for the rest of your life. I'm sorry. But at least then you have to share this podcast to everyone, because you have to show them the photo. So that's good for us.
Yeah, you have to share it before you die.
You now forever see this podcast playing in your mind.
Exactly.
And
that's
how we grow. That's how
Yeah.
we're gonna grow. This is scary. So is there an actual, like, those two blood finger prints?
I don't actually know, I'm just...
Anyway, I mean, this is scary, but it's just a dog smiling. I mean,
Yeah, but it's a human
it's a
smile,
husky.
Shadi.
Yeah, fuck. That terrifies me more now, because I had a husky.
Yeah, Shadi, that's a human smile, that thing was. That's what makes it terrifying.
Yeah. I swear, that's how my dog looked. I'm joking. This is my dog. This is secretly my dog.
If you want, you can search up Squidward Suicide or that, but like, that...
So is that a creepypasta thing?
Yeah.
So that must be a big website then, if they have a lot of those.
There's a lot of creepypastas. I know for a fact there's one revolving around Barney the dinosaur.
Why are they just destroying our childhood stories?
Like, I'm going to read the start of this.
Bunch of bullshit, dude.
Right?
Yeah.
I was an intern at Nickelodeon Studios for a year in 2005 for my degree in animation. Like that, those wording.
Because they're trying to convince you that, like, I have first-hand experience.
Yes.
But I bet you he wasn't. He fucking wasn't working for Nickelodeon Studios.
It's a story that you're trying to make believable.
But they kind of use different words to kind of make you want to believe it, even though, like, we don't know.
Oh yeah, because then it's the whole we received a copy of an episode that was meant to be this episode, but it's not.
And why would Nickelodeon want to even make an episode of Squidward killing himself?
It wouldn't have, I think it even said in this, it's not Nickelodeon that done it, it was the creator, because he went through some dark times or something.
And they didn't want to allow
it. Like, if you go through rather slowly.
So, maybe... It seems like...
We hear SpongeBob laughing at outside. Squidward stops it, yelling at him to keep it down. He has a concert that night.
You're reading this part?
No, I'm reading the one above it. Yeah.
I'm going to put this on the screen for you guys.
And then the bubbles come up as the transition, as it normally does. And we see the ending of Squidward's concert. So at this point, this episode has been relatively normal to a SpongeBob episode.
It's almost as if he's describing it in so much detail to make us want to believe it.
That's the whole point.
Because if they just said he killed himself, like, no one would believe it, but they're using those
playing a few
skills.
frames repeat themselves, but the sound doesn't. At this point, the sound is synced up with animation, so yes, that's not common. Yeah, so the sound wasn't synced up to what it should be, because frames are repeating themselves.
Yeah, where's the part where he...
Hold on.
Is it?
There's a slight murmuring in the crowd before they begin to boo him. Not normal cartoon booing. That is common in the show. You could clearly hear malice in it. Squidward's in full frame and looks visibly afraid. The shot goes to the crowd with SpongeBob in centre frame, and he too is booing. Well, that's not like him.
Yeah.
That isn't the oddest thing, apparently. Oh.
What?
The odd thing, everyone has hyper-realistic eyes, very detailed, not shots. Clearly not real people's eyes, but more like CGI. People's were red. And then it was a transition. The shot then goes to Squidward sitting on the edge of his bed, looking very forlorn.
So he's sad because they booed him.
Yeah, the view out of his porthole window is of a night sky, so it isn't very long after the concert. The unsettling part is there's no sound. Oh. There's absolutely no sound at this part, so he sat there in silence, blinking for about 30 seconds. Then he begins to sob. He puts his hands over his eyes and cries quietly for a full minute.
That would be so depressing. I don't know if I could watch that.
That would be really uncomfortable for me. The sound is slowly growing from nothing to barely audible. It sounded like a slight breeze through a forest. Then the screen slowly zooms in on his face. And by slow, this person means if you look at the shots 10 seconds apart, side by side, the sobbing gets louder and more full of heart. The screen then twitches a bit, as if it twists in on itself for a split second and then goes back to normal. The wind through the trees sound gets slowly louder and more severe, as if a storm was brewing. The eerie part is this sound and Squidward's sobbing sounded real, as if they weren't coming from the speakers, but if the speakers were holes in the sound, the sound was coming through.
The other side.
Yeah. As good as Sound Studio likes to have, they don't purchase equipment to be that good to produce sound of that quality. So the crying in that sounded too good. So below it there was very but below the sound of the wind and sobbing, very faint. There was something very faint, something that sounded like laughing, came at odd intervals and never lasted more than a second. After 30 seconds of this, the screen blurred and twitched violently, and something flashed over the screen, as if a single frame was replaced. I'm just reading this silently at this point. I don't know if we should say that.
What?
Look at that paragraph.
I would just put it on the screen.
Yeah, so basically, the photo that the frame was on was horrible.
It was just, but it was
a dead child.
Yeah, simplified. It was a dead child that was just disfigured and a lot of gore. And I just don't understand, why was the photo put on the screen?
The most unsettling part was there was a shadow of the photographer.
So like he took... Yeah,
there was no crime tape, no evidence tape, tags on markers. So it was... So it seemed like the photo was taken just after it happened. Oh, look at my arm.
You're getting...
And then it went back to Squidward, of course.
Well, could we maybe move to...
Yeah, so it's more crying. There appeared to be blood running down his face. Tears and blood were dripping down his face at a heavy rate. The wind sound came back, and so did the deep voiced laughing. It lasted for a good 5 frames. That's a lot.
See, for me, it seems like they're trying to somehow convey his depressed, almost really unhinged mental state. I don't understand why else the baby would be there and all the screaming and...
Well, it's
like they're trying to show...
It's more like someone demented edited this episode. That's basically what it is. Because if you read
this part,
yeah.
Do you want me to read it?
I don't know if I'd be able to.
So did you read this before? All right. The animator was able to stop it on the 4th and backed up. This time the photo was of a boy about the same age, but this time the scene was different. I think we're gonna have to restrict this video. The entrails were just being peeled out from his stomach, wound by a large hand. The right eye popped and dangling, blood trickling down it. The animator proceeded. It was hard to believe, but the next one was different, but we couldn't tell what. Okay. He went on to the next, same thing. He went back to the first and played them quicker, and I lost it. He vomited on the floor. The animating and sound editors gasping at the screen. The 5 frames were not as if they were 5 different photos. They were played out as if they were frames from a video. We saw the hand slowly lift out the guts. We saw the kid's eyes focus on it. We even saw 2 frames of the kid beginning to blink.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
See, this is where it gets you starting to somewhat believe it, because it's going into this detail about what they saw.
And they're like, like making all those emotions go in you, so it's almost as if it's real. But whoever's doing this is quite good at this. I mean, I feel like people go to those websites. You know how you get this shock from reading stuff like this? Some people actually get like addicted to this feeling, and they start like. And I had this before when when you're like looking at like those terrible stories that happen, or like those really terrible things that happen, and you're just reading it, you're almost eating it up. And it's like, it's not the best habit, but it's kind of the shock that you get from it.
We're about to go on to...
What?
We're about to get on to the really bad part.
Which one is it?
The one that your mouse is at.
Okay. The lead sound editor told us to stop. He had to call in the creator to see this, Mr. Hillenburg. So is that the guy that created SpongeBob?
Yeah.
So Mr. Hillenburg arrived within about 50 minutes. He was confused as to why he was called down there. So the editor just continued the episode. Once the few frames were shown, all screaming, all sound again stopped. Squidward was just staring at the viewer full frame of the face for about 3 seconds. The shot quickly panned out and the deep voice said, "Do it." And we see in Squidward's hands a shotgun. He immediately puts the gun in his mouth and pulls the trigger. Realistic blood and brain matter splatters the wall behind him and his bed, and he flies back with the force. The last 5 seconds of this episode show his body on the bed, on his side, one eye dangling on what's left of his brain above the floor, staring blankly at it. Then the episode ends.
I think that's all we really need to read.
You know, like, the more, like, I feel like this isn't true because it's just trying to make it true, but it almost feels at this point as if it happened.
Yeah.
Because they're getting the crayon involved, a person that exists.
Yeah. And
that kind of makes it seem even more real. You know?
Obviously it's not real, but like the point of why I diverse to this is because the language that they use makes it
going into details. Yeah, it's because it's almost as if you're just explaining a normal fact, you know?
Yeah.
Like you're just talking about real events, and it makes
all of that makes me feel like he's really just recalling something that happened.
At this point, it almost doesn't even matter whether it happened or not, because the emotions already hit you as if it already happened, you know? Like, I think that's what they really succeeded in, that creepypasta thing. Yeah,
like, I could imagine being in that room and watching that. I could imagine the discomfort. I could imagine I would probably vomit.
Yeah. But who's coming up with that stuff? That's like next level. It's I don't know if I would call it horror. I'd even call it gore more, and like just
that's like
dark stuff.
Horror writing right there.
Yeah.
Because there's also one that I can see there. It's Ben Drowned. I can tell you that story. It's basically someone gets a copy of a Zelda game from some sort of sale, and it already has a save on it called Ben, and throughout the play he's haunted by a demented version of the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point he just randomly dies in that, and messages keep appearing on the screen like Ben drowned in that.
All right.
As if it was a haunted version of the game. Like, that could be believable.
Yeah.
So that's what I like so much about these stories.
See, I feel like I'm going to start binging them today, and that's not a good idea, because it's like it'll fill your mind with like very dark stuff. Yeah,
as soon as we're done this, I'll show you some of my favourite ones. But yeah.
This is the worst coffee I've ever had, by the way. And I made it. Right. So do you want to talk about the thing you were initially supposed to? I kind of like that we went on a tangent though, because to be honest, like, we're still talking about the kind of
like
mysteries that like we don't know if are real or no.
Like,
but still mysteries. I mean.
For those creepypastas, like the Jeff the Killer one, I genuinely don't believe that happened. But the Squidwards Suicide, who are we to say that it didn't?
And it almost really feels real. Like, I don't know, just...
Like, who are we to say that some demented animator that didn't come up with that? You never know.
Yeah.
You weren't in that room. Maybe they weren't either.
And I mean, it's something they would want to keep a secret after all. And that one guy told the story, but yeah, we don't know at the end of the day.
There's ones that get like really out there and not believable, but that one, I genuinely believe. Then you get ones like the Slender Man.
Yeah.
Which...
I believed it when I was a kid. I remember asking my dad to go to the forest with me to search for Slender Man.
With the terrible photoshops of the Slender Man and
in the park and like...
Yeah.
I like binge that stuff.
Photoshop Slender Man here.
Yeah, behind us. Yeah. For the rest of the video, he'll just be dancing behind us.
Now you've said that, you have to do it.
Yeah, no, I will. I can do that. I mean, what was I saying? It's like those stories, some of them make the line between reality and fiction just so small that you don't even know if you want to believe it or not, or if you believe it or not. You just kind of...
That's the making of a good story.
Yeah.
If you can fool someone that much, that's good.
Because there are a lot of horror stories that they're good, but it's like, it's easy to kind of escape from this world and be like, okay, it's not real, I know it's not real. But some of them really make it hard.
But see, there's good stories that do that. But then there's the idiots that genuinely believe it and spread all that. Even though...
But that's like the kind of thing about social media, isn't it? You believe something and you spread it before even making sure whether it's true or not. Because it's so easy to spread information. Yeah.
But like another mystery thing, like, I'll say this right now, I believe in ghosts, do you? Like, you know Alcatraz, the prison, right?
Yeah.
So, that's supposedly haunted. Have you heard any of the ghost stories?
Well, I've only heard some of the ones you told me, I think, a while ago.
Can't even remember telling you them. Jeez. But yeah, there was one that I quite like where there was one inmate throughout the night screaming that someone with glowing yellow eyes was strangling him. And the guards just ignored it. Because, it must be crazy. But he eventually stopped. And then when they went to check the next night, or the next day, he was dead with strangling marks around his neck, like where the fingers had been. And there was no indication of anyone that could have killed him.
Yeah.
Then there's also... I remember telling you this now. Because there was a documentary that I saw, and one person that was an inmate goes back and gives talks on how convicts can turn their life around and everything.
Yeah.
And one of these times he went to his old cell block and saw a mysterious shadowy figure down the end of the hallway.
And who is this guy again? Is he like a documentary person?
I can't remember his name.
But is he like a real person that does documentary or something?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would kind of seem like a legit account of what happened.
Because this guy was talking and he saw this shadowy figure down the hall, and it turned and walked away in the same way that his best friend in prison did.
Wait, is that the one that got strangled?
No, that's a different story.
Right.
But yeah.
But it's the whole thing about it being haunted.
Yeah, and also there was the fact that apparently in the showers, like from the walls, you could hear banjos playing. Because there was one guy that went into the shower room to practice playing his banjo.
All right.
For safety and that.
Wait, what's a banjo? Is that? I mean, it's an instrument, but...
Yeah, it's like a guitar.
All right.
But yeah, it's stuff like that that interests me. And it's the random shivers and cold bits you walk through while going through Alcatraz.
See, I have a story, and this is... Like, I actually thought my room was haunted at some point, but that's because... Like, once I woke up, and pretty much my cat, a lot of time used to come to my room just to kind of, do the purring thing they do. They just walk around you and like, just that kind of thing. But on this night, the cat wasn't there, but I remember feeling like it hopped onto my body and started. I could feel every detail of its little like paws like walking along me. And then I woke up, and then I opened my eyes because I was awake, and then the cat wasn't there. And there were a lot of occasions where I would put my cat away because it was night and I didn't want him to be there, and I could still hear him purring even though he was not even in this room, and I could literally hear it, and it was so real. And then there was also a time where I had like night terrors and sleep paralysis. So this like really, so it's hard to say because nowadays, like we became so scientific that we always have an explanation that it's something to do with the mind. So it's very easy to kind of dismiss all the ghost stories because you might be like, it's just a hallucination or it's just insanity or something.
Like I don't personally have any stories, but I have two from two of my friends.
Yeah.
So basically, my friend Ewan, he's told this story many times, but I'm still probably going to get it wrong. I think it was, he woke up in the middle of the night, and this was years and years and years ago, but I think he said, like, in the corner of his room, he saw this shadowy figure.
Oh, that's like the scariest thing ever.
Yeah. And then my friend Jay said that one time when his dad was younger, he was out on his motorbike, and he got to a point and there was just these people all dressed in white that were levitating to the point where his dad literally got so scared he left it and ran back home. He left his bike and ran home. Like, I don't know if that's true or not.
But the thing is, I have family stories like that as well. Like, and so I think this was my grandma on my mother's side. One day when she was still young, they were like sleeping with her, I think it was her relatives or friends, and it was a new place. And then at night there was always this woman this ghost woman that would appear and she would be crying, but it wasn't like a demon, it was just a ghost, so it didn't want to do any harm. And I don't remember what the ghost wanted, but I think she wanted them to pray for her. So one day they prayed for her and then she disappeared and stopped bothering them. So that was just like a normal kind of ghosts. I think demons are only hostile.
Yeah.
And ghosts aren't necessarily bad. But yeah, it's like those stories that you hear and it's like, there's no point that your family would be lying about this stuff or your friends and any person. So it's like, I do believe that there's something there. I mean, how would you describe a ghost? I mean, maybe there's some kind of a...
By definition, you really shouldn't see a ghost. That's the thing.
Because, I mean, we're only limited to, five perceptions, right? And apparently they're, like, beyond that.
Yeah, and they're, like, so invisible, so how do you see them?
And maybe that's why we can only see them sometimes, and only some people can see them, I mean.
I believe they're more like apparitions. Like, you don't get ghosts possessing giant marshmallow men.
Yeah.
But if there are ghosts, we need to call Bill Murray, he can help us.
Oh, yeah, or the people from The Conjuring that help you. Which is based on true story, apparently, so.
Maybe apparently so is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but it's not.
Yeah, but you know, like the Annabelle doll, you can actually, there's a museum where we can see a...
I don't fuck with scary dolls.
Yeah. Apparently one guy did and he was dead the next day.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Looking at stories of them terrifies me so much. I'm still the guy that watches something like a horror movie or that and then has to walk home in the dark and gets really paranoid and is checking behind him every 2 seconds.
I once got scared of my own shadow because of how the light threw, there were two shadows instead of one, and I thought the one was like a person running behind, but it was just my own shadow because there were two of them. So that's funny.
So anyway, I'll just go into the one that I came here to say.
Yeah.
So basically, there's an internet mystery called Cicada 3301, which I learned about a couple of years ago in school, which basically, on the 4th of January 2012, on 4chan, someone posted the cryptic message that once deciphered led to different links in that eventually led to a search across countries where if you were...
I think it's like one of those puzzles thing they do on Instagram where you like click on the phone and it takes you to another account.
and it was like deciphering links that led to books and that, and certain parts of the books.
A whole puzzle.
And then leading to websites and that. And eventually this first puzzle led to going out into the real world and finding different pages that had been posted, which then had a barcode or something on it, which then led to another website, which I think for the first couple of people, it accepted them, then it said we want the best, not the followers. So then that shut down. And then a year and a day later from when it started, so the 5th of January 2013, it started again. But this time it led more, the links led to music and that.
All right.
And then the same search. This is a really vague description because I want people to go out and research more for themselves. I'd really recommend this.
How long does this take place for again, this whole thing?
Well, I don't know if it's been solved yet, but it hadn't been.
And when did this start again?
2012.
Yeah, that's a long time though.
So we're in the second challenge. So after people found that, I think the same thing happened. Then it shut. Then nothing. Silence. Then in early 2014, they opened again. The same sort of thing. This time it led to like the runic alphabet and like a website that they hadn't deciphered it yet.
Yeah.
And nothing made sense and nothing happened. Like there was also a book.
So no one deciphered that part yet?
And no one solved that. Nope.
Not until
like, because you
today.
needed to find a website on the dark web or on the deep web.
And
no one found it.
When did this begin, this part of it?
The third puzzle, 2014.
So 7 years ago, no one yet done anything about this.
And no one...
Well, that's a chance.
Yeah. And in 2016, Cicada posted again saying, maybe you should go back and look at this book because no one has found it yet. So it's still an open mystery and no one knows why this has happened because the winners of each puzzle were told not to collaborate with anyone and tell them what happened.
And I bet you right now there are people out there really trying to do it.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, I mean, see, one of the theories I think was you suggested, I think that's like an organization that wants to find the best...
like computer people.
Yeah, like decipher, and there's like names for that. Like, and I think that's a good way of doing it because, I mean, if you want to find someone good, obviously you need to get everyone involved.
Yeah.
So it seems like it's a project of some kind. I mean, why would someone go for all of this for nothing? It seems like it's a very...
Yeah.
It's like a real puzzle thing.
But the real thing is, what is their aim? What do they need all these people for?
Well, it could be like a government thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it could just be like for working for the Secret Service.
Yeah.
So we never know if it's like a government or an illegal.
Even if someone has solved it, they wouldn't tell because they were told not to.
That seems like the thing you would do if you were joining a Secret Service, to be fair. So it could be that, but we will never... We'll know. Well, for now, we'll not know.
Nope.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So that's kind of a diversion from the paranormal things we were talking about. That one's like more just a mystery. And it's still ongoing, which is interesting.
Which all those years later, if there's still someone trying to decipher it, that's impressive.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know if anyone's deciphered it this year, but the video I watched was uploaded last year.
So people are still kind of talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah, just to think, from 2014 to 2016, no one found this website on the deep web.
And they're told to find it.
Yeah.
It's like, that makes me want to find it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it's effort to get on the... You need like this... you need like this special app to get on the black web. I forgot. It's like an onion icon or something.
But yeah, that's the mysteries.
Yeah.
Unless you have any more you want to talk about?
There's also this case of... I was originally going to talk about it. I think it's D.B Cooper.
Yeah.
And pretty much this happened... I'm going to have to check when it happened, but I think I think it was 1971 or 1972. And pretty much this guy that said that he was called Daniel Cooper, but maybe that was just a fake name. And he took a flight. I don't exactly remember. I think it was a flight to New Mexico or something. And while he was on the plane, he told the stewardess that he had the bomb and that he wanted her to sit beside him. And then he told her that he wants $200,000 in cash.
It was on the 24th of November 1971, and he was in the United States airspace between Portland and Seattle.
So does it say where he wanted to go?
I assume it would have been Seattle.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, yeah, during it he requested a command, so they stopped the plane somewhere so the passengers could go out, and then the flight continued with only him on board and the staff members. So he already got then his 200,000. He told them probably to go somewhere else. In mid-flight, I think it was during 8 p.m., he got a parachute and just jumped off with the money. And
disappeared.
Yeah, no one knows about him from that moment. And there are theories that he would probably die because he didn't have like a proper outfit that you're supposed to have, and his parachute wasn't like the ones you can actually control. It was just a normal kind of one, and there was a woodland, so people think he would have died. But actually, there was at some point a kid did find a rotten bag of money, and they have somehow through forensics connected it, so they know that's the money that was in his bag. So they found some of the money, but most of it is still gone, and so is he. And yeah, that's really interesting.
What if that was part of his plan, though?
Yeah, everything could have been planned for him. I'll put a photo of how he was drawn by the police.
That is Mr.
Police to look.
Bean.
What?
That is Mr. Bean.
Yeah, that's Mr. Bean, man.
Wait, press the X now.
What?
GTA.
Yes, let us help him find. Someone's recreating it in GTA.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's this one and this one.
Yeah.
And I would assume he would probably be dead by now either, just because of age. But that's an unsolved FBI case. So I think that's going to be all. So we're going to wrap it now. Now it's almost an hour.
Which is good. We aim for at least an hour.
Yeah. I mean, it's longer than the last episode, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're definitely going to continue doing like those mysterious episodes and like conspiracy theories and all of those kind of things. If you have any suggestions, then please comment them down, because we're kind of open-minded to a lot of topics. So,
and hopefully the next time we'll have a guest.
Yeah, a guest. Another Sam.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it'll be very fun to see how that goes.
But we're going to have to try and find out what sort of subject he'd want to do. Because if we have guests on, we let them decide.
Yeah, we will.
That seems fair.
Yeah, that seems fair. But he's kind of interested in stuff that we like, so we will definitely enjoy it. And we hope you enjoy it too.
Yeah.
So stay tuned, guys. Thank you for watching the Nobcast.
See ya.